Ravi was a simple human who worked in a quiet corner of the galaxy. He was not a soldier or a pilot. He was not someone who had great power or fame. He was a mechanic. His job was to fix broken ships, clean engines, and repair the small machines that travelers brought to the station. The station where Ravi lived was far from Earth. It was small and forgotten. Traders, miners, and wanderers came there to rest or sell what they had collected from the stars. It was not a place of glory. It was a place for people who wanted to disappear or simply survive. Ravi liked it because it was peaceful. He lived in a small room near the workshop. Every morning, he woke up to the sound of ships landing. He ate simple food, cleaned his hands with a rag, and began to work on metal parts that smelled of oil and heat. He was not rich, but he was content. He liked machines because they made sense. If a machine was broken, it could be fixed with patience and care. But one day, his life changed in a way he never expected. That morning, Ravi was repairing an old cargo ship engine when the station alarms rang. It was not the alarm for danger, only for an unscheduled landing. The control officer announced that a small vessel was requesting docking. Ravi wiped the sweat from his forehead and looked at the landing bay. The ship that arrived was unlike any he had seen before. Its surface was smooth, shining like flowing water. The wings curved like the fins of a sea creature, and symbols glowed faintly along its body. It was elegant, almost alive. Clearly, it was not human-made. When the ship opened, a single figure stepped out. The figure was tall, dressed in a cloak of silver and blue. The face was partly hidden, but Ravi saw eyes that seemed brighter than stars. They were large, reflecting both curiosity and sadness. The traveler looked around as if lost. Most people in the bay stared but kept their distance. They whispered to each other. They knew this was not an ordinary visitor. Some were afraid. Others were curious. But no one dared to approach. Ravi, however, did not feel fear. He felt something else, like the moment before a storm, when the air is full of energy. He walked forward, holding his rag in one hand. "Do you need help?" Ravi asked in a calm voice. The figure turned. For a moment, the eyes softened. Then the traveler spoke, the voice gentle and melodic, though the words were slightly broken. "My ship, damaged. I must fix, before I return." Ravi nodded. "I can take a look. I fix ships here." The traveler studied him for a few seconds. Finally, with a small nod, the figure allowed him to come closer. Ravi climbed into the strange vessel. The inside was even more beautiful. The walls shimmered with light like flowing rivers. Controls were not buttons but smooth surfaces that responded to touch. But beneath the beauty, Ravi could hear the silent cry of damage. A power core was unstable, and a cooling unit had cracked. "This needs repair," Ravi said, speaking slowly so the traveler would understand. "If you try to fly, it may fail." The traveler looked worried but remained calm. "Can you repair it?" Ravi thought for a moment. He had never worked on such advanced technology. But machines were machines. Every system, no matter how complex, followed rules. "I can try," he answered. The traveler removed the hood then. Ravi saw the truth. It was not just an alien traveler. It was a young woman, her skin faintly glowing with a silver blue tone, her hair long and smooth like strands of night. She was unlike anyone Ravi had ever seen, yet she carried herself with grace. "I am Illyra," she said quietly. "Thank you, human mechanic." Ravi smiled. I am Ravi. Just call me Ravi. No titles, no special words. Just Ravi. Illyra seemed surprised by that, as if most people she met treated her with ceremony. But Ravi spoke simply, without fear or admiration. That made her relax a little. Over the next hours, Ravi worked inside the ship while Illyra stayed close, watching. She offered him tools he had never seen before. Some were sharp beams of light that could cut metal like butter. Others were gels that sealed cracks as if the damage had never existed. Ravi was fascinated. He asked questions. Illyra answered with patience, sometimes smiling when his curiosity grew too much. As they worked, they talked. Ravi told her about his life on the station, how he fixed ships for miners and traders, and how he dreamed of one day traveling among the stars instead of staying in one place. Illyra listened closely. She did not laugh at his simple dream. Instead, she asked what Earth was like. Ravi described the oceans, the forests, the mountains. He spoke of rain on rooftops, the smell of soil after a storm, and the laughter of children running in open fields. Illyra's eyes shone as if she were painting these images in her mind. I have seen many worlds, she said softly, but none described as you describe your home. Your words, they are warm. Ravi chuckled. Maybe because I miss it? When you miss something, even small things feel special. Illyra grew quiet then, as if his words touched something inside her. When the repair was almost finished, a group of station guards entered the bay. They had finally received word from nearby patrol ships. The guards were nervous. They bowed deeply before Illyra. Princess, one of them said, his voice shaking. Forgive us. We did not know you had left your royal vessel. We were told you were missing. Ravi froze. Princess. He looked at Illyra with wide eyes. She lowered her gaze, almost ashamed. You are, a princess? Ravi asked. Illyra gave a small nod. Yes. I left my ship to see the stars without walls of duty. But they found me. The guards urged her to return quickly. The royal family is waiting. It is not safe for you here among commoners. Ravi stepped back. He suddenly felt small. What was he doing fixing the ship of a princess? He was just a mechanic. She belonged to palaces and thrones, not dusty workshops. But before leaving, Illyra turned to him. Her eyes held a quiet intensity. Ravi, thank you. You saw me not as a princess but as a traveler. I will not forget this. Ravi swallowed, unsure what to say. He simply nodded. Then she was gone. The royal vessel carried her away, leaving only silence in the bay. Ravi stood there, his hands still covered in oil, his mind replaying every moment. He did not know if he would ever see her again. To him, it was just one day, one meeting. But to Illyra, it was the first time someone had treated her not as a title, but as a person. And though years would pass, she would never forget the human mechanic who spoke to her with honesty and warmth. Years passed since Ravi first met the mysterious traveler who later revealed herself as Princess Illyra. Life in the small station did not change much. Ships still came and went, engines still broke down, and Ravi still fixed them with the same patience. To others, his life looked ordinary, but deep inside, he carried the memory of that single meeting. Sometimes, when he closed his eyes at night, he could still see her silver blue skin, her bright eyes that seemed to carry both sadness and strength, and the way she had listened to his simple words about Earth. It was a memory he never told anyone. To the rest of the station, he was just Ravi, the mechanic who knew how to keep old machines alive. But destiny was not finished with him. One quiet afternoon, Ravi was repairing a cargo freighter when the ground shook slightly under his feet. He looked up as the station alarms rang again. A large vessel was approaching. The workers stopped what they were doing. Traders left their shops to watch. Even the control officers looked nervous. This was no ordinary ship. It was huge, elegant, and glowing with light. Its design reminded Ravi of the smaller vessel he had once repaired long ago. The patterns on its surface shimmered like living stars. Everyone whispered the same word: royalty. The ship landed smoothly in the bay. The air filled with tension as the hatch opened. Guards in shining armor stepped out first, their presence commanding silence. And then, walking with calm steps, came Princess Illyra. She looked older now, but her presence was even stronger. Her cloak of silver and blue trailed behind her, and a crown of delicate crystal rested on her head. The people bowed low, afraid to even raise their eyes. But Ravi froze where he stood. He thought his memory was playing tricks. Yet it was real. She had returned. Illyra's eyes scanned the crowd. When they found him, she stopped. A small, genuine smile appeared on her face. She walked forward, ignoring the whispers, ignoring the bows, ignoring the fearful stares. She stopped right in front of Ravi, who still held a greasy tool in his hand, his clothes covered in oil. "It has been many years," Illyra said softly. "Do you remember me, Ravi?" Ravi swallowed hard. He wanted to bow like everyone else, but her eyes reminded him of the promise she had once made. She wanted to be treated as herself, not as a title. So he simply nodded. "Yes, Princess. I remember." Her smile widened, as if his simple response meant more than all the bows in the room. The guards behind her looked uncomfortable. One of them stepped forward. "Your Highness, this is not the place to speak. Let us return to the royal chamber we prepared for you." But Illyra raised her hand. "No, I came here for him." The entire station fell silent. The words spread quickly. A princess from a mighty empire had traveled across the stars not for politics, not for trade, but for a human mechanic. Ravi felt his face grow hot. "Why would you come back for me?" he asked, his voice quiet. Illyra looked at him with calm honesty. "Because I never forgot you. In all the years of duty and walls, I remembered the man who spoke to me without fear, who showed me kindness without wanting anything in return. When my people argued about what humans truly are, I thought of you. And now, when my empire faces questions of war and peace, I knew I must see you again." Ravi could not find words. He was just a mechanic. What did he know about empires and councils? But Illyra's eyes were steady. She meant every word. The guards led them both to the council chamber within the station. There, representatives of her people waited. They were tall and regal, their skin glowing in shades of silver and violet. Their eyes were sharp, filled with suspicion. One of the elders spoke first. "Princess Illyra, you left your world against our advice. You traveled into human territory without permission. Now you bring a human into our council? This is unwise." Illyra stood tall. "This human is Ravi. Years ago, he helped me when I was lost. He did not know I was a princess. He treated me as a person. In him, I saw what humans truly are: kind, resourceful, and worthy of respect." The council murmured among themselves. One of them, a stern elder with silver markings across his forehead, leaned forward. Princess, you are young. Your memory of this mechanic is clouded by sentiment. Humans are dangerous. They spread across space like fire. They build weapons. They cannot be trusted. Ravi wanted to shrink back, but Illyra raised her voice firmly. You judge an entire species from fear. I judge from experience. I lived one day among them, and in that single day I learned more truth than from all the reports and rumors you speak. The council elder looked at Ravi with disdain. And what say you, human? Do you think you deserve to stand here, in a royal chamber, before leaders of worlds? Ravi felt all eyes on him. His hands were rough and dirty, his clothes simple. He was not trained to speak before leaders. But he remembered the way Illyra had trusted him years ago. He took a breath. I am not a soldier or a leader, Ravi said slowly. I fix broken things. That is all I know. Machines break, and with time and care, they can be repaired. Maybe peace is the same. Maybe trust is the same. You think humans are only fire, but I think we are also builders. We dream, we laugh, we make mistakes, but we also learn. If I can fix a ship, maybe we can fix trust too. The chamber was silent. Some elders frowned. Others looked thoughtful. Illyra stepped closer to him, her voice clear. This is why I returned. To show you a human who speaks with honesty, not power. To remind you that sometimes the smallest voice carries the greatest truth. The council did not answer at once. They spoke quietly among themselves, their words sharp and fast. Finally, the stern elder said, if you truly believe this human shows the best of his kind, then let him be tested. Words are easy. Survival is harder. If he proves himself in trial, then we will hear you. If he fails, then your defense of humanity will fall. Ravi felt his heart sink. A trial? He was no warrior. But Illyra placed her hand lightly on his arm. I believe in you, she whispered. The council announced their decision to the chamber. Tomorrow, at dawn, the human will face the trial of trust. Only then will we decide. That night, Ravi sat in his small room, staring at the floor. He had never asked for this. He had never thought his life would connect with empires and councils. Yet here he was, chosen to represent all of humanity because years ago, he had spoken kindly to a lost princess. As he sat in silence, there was a knock on his door. Illyra entered, her presence soft but strong. She sat across from him. Are you afraid? She asked gently. Ravi gave a small smile. I am a mechanic. I fix ships. I am not a hero. Illyra shook her head. You are wrong. You are more than you think. The council respects only strength, but I know strength is not only in weapons or power. It is in patience, in kindness, in never giving up. Those are the things you showed me before. Show them again, and you will not fail. Ravi looked at her, surprised by her faith in him. Why do you believe in me so much? Illyra's eyes softened. Because when I was lost, you saw me as Illyra, not as a princess. You gave me something no one else gave me, freedom to just be myself. That is something I cannot forget. For a moment, silence filled the room. The station lights flickered softly. Ravi realized that whether he liked it or not, tomorrow he would face the trial. Not for himself, but for her trust, and perhaps for something greater, the chance to show that humans were more than the galaxy believed. The next morning came faster than Ravi expected. He had hardly slept during the night. Thoughts kept racing in his mind. Why was he chosen for this trial? Why did it have to be him? He was not a warrior or a leader. He was only a mechanic who knew how to fix broken things. But now, he was standing in a position where his actions could decide the future between humans and an alien empire. When dawn arrived, the entire station was full of tension. Word of the trial had spread quickly. Traders, miners, and even travelers who had only stopped for rest were whispering about the human who would be tested by alien rulers. Some looked at him with doubt. Others looked with pity. A few offered silent prayers. Ravi walked slowly toward the chamber where the council gathered. His hands were trembling, and his heart beat heavily in his chest. Yet he kept moving, step by step. Inside the chamber, the alien council was already seated. Their silver-blue skin glowed under the lights, their robes flowing like rivers of light. They looked powerful, calm, and stern. Princess Illyra stood among them, her presence steady but her eyes full of worry as they followed Ravi's movements. The elder with the silver markings on his forehead spoke first. His voice echoed in the chamber. Human mechanic, today you face the trial of trust. You will enter the proving grounds of our people. If you survive, we will accept that humans may have honor and worth. If you fail, then we shall take it as proof that humans are weak and unfit to stand beside us. Ravi felt a lump in his throat but nodded. I understand. The elder raised his hand, and a door at the far end of the chamber opened. Behind it stretched a large passage that led deep into the proving grounds. The air inside was misty, glowing faintly with alien lights. It looked more like a living world than a trial. Before Ravi stepped in, Illyra came close. She spoke in a voice only he could hear. Do not think of this as a fight. Think of it as a machine you must fix. Each problem is a broken part, and you must repair it with your skill, your patience, and your courage. Ravi gave a faint smile. You believe in me more than I believe in myself. Her eyes softened. Because I see what you cannot see yet. With those words, Ravi entered the proving grounds. The place was vast, far bigger than he imagined. It was like a great dome filled with shifting landscapes. The ground moved, creating hills and valleys. Strange creatures roamed in the mist. Mechanical drones floated above, scanning him with glowing eyes. It felt like both a natural world and a battlefield. A voice echoed from above, the elder speaking. The trial has 3 challenges. Pass them, and you prove your worth. Fail them, and your journey ends here. Ravi's chest tightened. But he reminded himself of Illyra's words. Each challenge was like a broken part. He had to fix it. The first challenge, the maze of shifting walls. The ground trembled, and tall walls rose around him, glowing with silver light. They shifted and moved constantly, forming a maze that changed every few moments. The voice above announced, "Find your way out. If you cannot, the walls will close." Ravi took a deep breath. He was not fast, nor was he strong. But he was observant. He placed his hand against one of the walls. It was warm, almost alive. He watched carefully as the walls moved, noticing a pattern. They did not move randomly. They followed cycles, like gears in a machine. Just like an engine, he whispered to himself. Step by step, he studied the rhythm, moving forward when the walls opened, waiting when they closed, and adjusting his pace like a mechanic adjusting a gear. Hours seemed to pass, but finally, he found the path leading out. The walls sank back into the ground, and the crowd watching from outside gave a low murmur of surprise. Ravi sighed with relief. "One part fixed," he said quietly. The second challenge, the beast of the trial. The ground shook again, and from the mist emerged a massive beast. It had 4 legs like pillars, a body covered in scales that glowed faintly, and eyes that burned like fire. Its roar shook the dome, and Ravi felt his knees weaken. The elder's voice echoed. "Defeat or outsmart the guardian beast." Ravi looked at the creature and felt despair. How could he fight something so large? He had no weapons, no armor. But then he remembered again he was a mechanic, not a soldier. Mechanics solved problems with tools, not fists. He quickly looked around. Broken parts of drones lay scattered on the ground from past trials. He ran to them, collecting wires, metal plates, and power cells. His hands moved fast, guided by instinct. He built a small device, a light emitter powered by the cell. The beast charged, its massive legs shaking the ground. Ravi activated the device, and a bright flash of light burst out. The beast stopped suddenly, blinded and confused. Ravi did not waste time. He used the moment to throw the device far to the side. The beast, chasing the light, ran in that direction, away from him. The council murmured again. The elder's voice spoke, not with anger but with grudging respect. "You did not fight. You used mind over strength. Continue." Ravi exhaled heavily, wiping sweat from his face. Second part fixed. The third challenge, the bridge of choice. The final challenge appeared as the mist cleared. In front of Ravi stretched a wide chasm. Across the chasm was the exit. But the bridge across was broken into pieces, floating in the air. Some pieces glowed bright, others dim. Above, drones circled, releasing shocks of energy to make the path even harder. The elder spoke again. "Choose your steps. A wrong choice will mean the fall." Ravi studied the bridge carefully. Again, he saw patterns. The glowing pieces shifted in cycles, like the maze before. The drones also followed patterns of movement. He closed his eyes for a moment, visualizing the timing. Then he stepped onto the first piece. It shook under his weight, but he balanced himself. Step by step, he moved forward, waiting when a drone passed, jumping when a piece shifted close enough. His heart raced, but his focus was sharp. Halfway across, he saw something unexpected. Another figure, a smaller alien, perhaps a young trainee, was also on the bridge. The alien looked terrified, frozen in place as drones circled closer. Ravi hesitated. If he tried to help, he might fail himself. But then he remembered what Illyra said. Strength was not in power but in kindness. He moved carefully toward the alien and extended his hand. "Come on. Follow me. We can do this together." The alien, trembling, took his hand. With careful steps, Ravi guided them both, timing each move, protecting the smaller one when drones struck. Finally, both of them reached the other side safely. The crowd outside gasped. Even the stern elder leaned back, silent for a moment. Princess Illyra's eyes shone with pride. The elder finally spoke. "The trial is complete. The human has passed." Ravi collapsed to his knees, breathing hard. His body ached, his hands were scraped, but he was alive. More than that, he had done it without violence, without cruelty. He had solved each problem with patience, cleverness, and kindness. Illyra walked forward, ignoring the council's disapproval, and helped him stand. "I knew you could do it," she whispered. Ravi gave a tired smile. Maybe I am more than just a mechanic after all. The council members spoke among themselves in hushed tones. Some still doubted, but others admitted that what they had witnessed was proof of something deeper. A human had faced their sacred trial and passed with dignity. For the first time, the weight of two worlds began to shift. And at the center of it all stood a simple mechanic and the princess who believed in him. The trial was finished, but the tension did not end. Ravi had passed the challenges, yet the alien council was not fully convinced. Some of the elders nodded with respect, but others looked doubtful, their expressions sharp and unkind. In the chamber, the elder with the silver markings spoke again. His voice carried across the hall. The human has survived. He has shown cleverness and patience. But survival is not enough. Words of peace and acts of skill mean little when the weight of two worlds presses upon us. If this bond between Princess Illyria and the human is to matter, then he must face one final test. Ravi felt his chest tighten. He thought the ordeal was over. Another test, he asked quietly. Illyria stepped forward quickly, her voice firm. He has proven himself already. Must you push further just to satisfy your doubt? The elder's eyes narrowed. Princess, this is not only about you. This is about your people, our empire, and the humans who spread among the stars. If he is to be the symbol you claim, then let him face the trial of trust, the highest test of our kind. If he passes, we shall not question you again. If he fails, then all your defense of humans will collapse. The words struck heavy in the air. Illyria clenched her fists but remained silent. She looked at Ravi, her eyes filled with worry. Ravi, though tired from the earlier challenges, stood straighter. If this is what it takes, then I will do it. Illyria shook her head. You do not understand. The trial of trust is different. It is not about skill or cleverness. It is about your heart. Ravi met her gaze. Then I will show them my heart. Entering the trial that night, the station was hushed. News spread that the human would face the trial of trust, a sacred test rarely given even to their own kind. No one knew exactly what the trial was, for it changed depending on the one who faced it. Some said it tested courage, others said it tested loyalty. Many whispered that no outsider had ever survived it. At dawn, Ravi was led to a great chamber deep inside the alien vessel. The walls glowed faintly, and the air felt heavy, almost alive. Elders sat in a circle high above, watching silently. Princess Illyria stood near the entrance, her eyes locked on Ravi. The silver-marked elder spoke. Human, the trial of trust will show us your true nature. You will be placed in a situation where your choices will decide your fate. There is no weapon to aid you, no tool to guide you. Only your heart and your will. Ravi nodded, though his stomach churned with nerves. The floor beneath him shifted, and suddenly he stood in a vast illusion, a world created by alien technology. It was not the chamber anymore. It was a strange landscape that felt both real and unreal. The vision of betrayal. Ravi found himself in a forest of silver trees, their leaves glowing faintly. The air smelled fresh, and the ground was soft under his feet. But soon he heard voices. Familiar voices. When he turned, he saw humans, miners, traders, even children, people from the station he knew. They looked afraid, their faces pale. In front of them stood alien guards, their weapons raised. One of the guards shouted, "Choose, human. If you stay silent, we will strike them down. If you wish to save them, you must betray the princess." Tell us she is wrong, tell us she is foolish to trust your kind, and we will release these people. Ravi froze. He knew it was an illusion, a test. But the fear on their faces looked real, the cries of the children sounded real, the tension in the air felt real. His heart raced. He looked at the guards, then at the people. His mind screamed at him to give in, to say the words and save them. But another part of him whispered that betrayal would mean failing Illyra, failing the bond that had brought them this far. He clenched his fists and shouted back, "No. I will not betray her. She believes in me, and I believe in her. If you harm them, then their blood will not erase my loyalty. Trust cannot be built on fear. It must stand on truth." The scene flickered, the people vanished, and the forest grew silent again. Ravi's chest rose and fell with heavy breaths. It had been an illusion, but the test of his choice was real. The vision of power, the landscape changed. Now he stood in a hall filled with treasure mountains of shining crystals, alien weapons of great power, machines far beyond human technology. A voice echoed in the air, deep and tempting. "Take them, human. With this power, you can become more than a mechanic. You can lead your people, protect them, rule them. All it takes is one choice. Forget the princess, forget the council, and this will be yours." Ravi's eyes wandered over the treasures. His heart ached. He had lived a simple life, always dreaming of more but never reaching it. Here, everything he had ever wished for was within reach. But then he remembered Illyra's face, the way she looked at him, not for power, not for wealth, but for kindness. He closed his eyes and shook his head. "I did not help her years ago because I wanted a reward. I helped her because it was right. I do not need treasures. I do not need power. I only need to stay true to who I am." The treasures faded away like smoke. The hall was empty again. The vision of fear the world shifted once more. Now Ravi stood alone in darkness. The air grew cold, and whispers filled the space. Shapes moved in the shadows, eyes glowing red. The whispers grew louder. "You will fail. You are nothing. You are weak. She will regret trusting you. The council will laugh at you. You cannot carry the weight of two worlds." Ravi fell to his knees, covering his ears. The voices pierced into his mind, showing him images of failure, of Illyra turning away from him, of humans and aliens falling into endless war because of him. His chest tightened with fear. But then he remembered her words. Strength is not only in weapons. It is in patience, kindness, and never giving up. He raised his head and shouted into the darkness. "I may be weak, I may be small, but I will not give up. If you want me to break, then you will be disappointed. I will stand, even if the world says I cannot." The darkness cracked, shattering like glass. Light poured in, and the whispers faded. Ravi stood tall, breathing heavily but unbroken. The end of the trial, the illusion vanished, and he was back in the great chamber. The elders watched him closely, their faces unreadable. Illyra's eyes were wet with tears, though she tried to hide them. The silver-marked elder finally spoke. His voice was no longer sharp with disdain but steady with recognition. "The human has faced betrayal, temptation, and fear. He has chosen loyalty, honesty, and courage. The trial of trust is complete." The chamber filled with quiet murmurs. Some elders nodded with respect, others still looked doubtful, but none could deny what they had seen. Illyra walked forward, her steps strong and proud. She stood beside Ravi, her hand lightly touching his arm. Now you see why I believe in him. He is not only a mechanic. He is proof that humans are more than you feared. He is proof that trust can exist between us. Ravi looked at her, tired but smiling. I only did what felt right. The silver-marked elder gave a slow nod. Perhaps that is what makes it most powerful. That evening, as the station lights dimmed, Ravi sat quietly on the deck outside his workshop. The stars stretched endlessly above. Illyra came to stand beside him, silent at first. You carried the weight of two worlds today, she said softly. And you did not fall. Ravi looked up at the stars. I don't know if I deserve such words. But if I helped even a little, then it was worth it. Illyra smiled gently. You are humble, Ravi. That is why I trust you. For a long moment, they stood in silence, watching the stars. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Their bond was no longer just a memory of a meeting long ago. It was now a symbol of something greater, a bridge of trust between two worlds. The council chamber was quiet after the trial. Ravi and Princess Illyra walked out together, their steps heavy but steady. The elders did not stop them. The silence itself was proof that something had shifted. No one could undo what the human had shown. No one could deny the courage he carried in his heart. Yet outside the chamber, the world was not still. Whispers spread quickly across the station and beyond. Humans and aliens alike spoke of the mechanic who faced the trial of trust. Some believed the story with wonder, some with doubt, and others with fear. Illyra knew this was only the beginning. The trial had proved Ravi's worth to the council, but the galaxy was wide. Old wounds and suspicions could not vanish in one day. The real challenge lay ahead. A heavy choice that evening, Ravi sat in his small workshop again. He stared at his hands, the same hands that had once fixed broken machines, the same hands that now carried the weight of two civilizations. He did not feel like a hero. He only felt tired. Illyra entered quietly. Her royal cloak brushed the floor as she stepped closer. You did more than anyone believed possible, she said softly. Ravi gave a faint smile. I only made choices. Hard ones, yes, but choices anyone could make. Not anyone, Illyra replied. There are many who would have chosen power, or safety, or betrayal. You did not. That is what makes you different. Ravi lowered his eyes. But what now? I cannot lead your people. I am just a mechanic. Illyra tilted her head, her gaze steady. You do not need to lead. You only need to walk beside me. I cannot change my people's hearts alone. But with you, I can show them that trust is possible. Ravi's breath caught. He understood what she was asking. If he stayed by her side, it would mean stepping into danger, into politics, into a life he had never wanted. But it would also mean standing for something greater than himself. After a long pause, he nodded. Then I will walk with you. The journey to the home world the next week, Illyra prepared to return to her home world. The council had agreed to bring Ravi before the throne itself. Many doubted still, but the elders had decided it was time for the empire's ruler to see the human with her own eyes. The voyage was long. The royal ship cut across the stars, its hull glowing with faint patterns of light. Ravi often stood at the windows, staring at the endless dark. He had never traveled so far from the station. Every jump between stars reminded him how small he was, yet how far a single choice could reach. Illyra stayed near him most days. She taught him about her people's history, their victories and scars, their fears of humans that had lasted for generations. In return, Ravi shared stories of human life, simple tales of miners, farmers, and children who dreamed under the same stars. Slowly, as they spoke, Ravi realized something. Though their worlds seemed so different, at the heart they carried the same hopes. To live in peace. To protect family. To find meaning in small acts of kindness. Arrival at the throne at last, the royal ship descended through the skies of Illyra's home world. Ravi gazed out the window in awe. Towers of crystal stretched toward the heavens, glowing rivers of light crossed the city, and great vessels floated in the sky like silent guardians. But as beautiful as it was, Ravi felt the weight of countless eyes. Word of his arrival had spread. Crowds gathered in the streets below, some cheering, others glaring with suspicion. He heard both hope and hostility in their voices. In the throne hall, the ruler awaited. She was tall, her presence commanding, her cloak woven with threads that shimmered like stars. Her gaze was sharp, but not unkind. When Ravi and Illyra stepped forward, the hall fell silent. Illyra bowed deeply. "Mother, I have returned, as promised. And I bring with me the one who once saved me, the one I trust above all others." The ruler's eyes studied Ravi. He felt small under her gaze, as if she could see every thought in his heart. At last, she spoke. "Human, many say you are brave. Many say you are foolish. Tell me, why have you come?" Ravi swallowed hard. His voice trembled, but he forced it steady. "I did not come for power, or reward, or glory. I came because your daughter once trusted me, and I cannot betray that trust. If my being here helps humans and your people see each other with new eyes, then I will stand here as long as I must." The hall was silent. Then the ruler leaned back, her expression unreadable. "You speak simply. That may be your greatest strength." A test of the people. The ruler did not reject him, but she did not embrace him either. Instead, she declared that the people themselves must decide. For too long, fear had ruled their hearts. Only by witnessing the human with their own eyes could trust grow. And so began days of trials, not in chambers of illusion, but among real lives. Ravi worked in the markets, repairing broken tools for farmers. He sat with children, telling them stories of human ships that crossed the stars. He listened to the old, who spoke of wars they wished to forget. At first, many distrusted him. Some mocked him, some turned away. But Ravi never answered with anger. He answered with patience. Slowly, very slowly, faces softened. A farmer whose plow he repaired nodded in thanks. A child laughed at his clumsy alien words. An elder placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. Each small act spread whispers. The human was not a monster. The human was not a thief. The human was simply a man with steady hands and a loyal heart. Shadows of resistance, but not all were willing to accept him. A faction of nobles feared what his presence meant. They whispered that if the princess married or stood beside a human, it would weaken the empire, shame their traditions, and give power to outsiders. One night, as Ravi walked through the palace garden, shadows moved. Figures cloaked in dark armor stepped forward, their blades gleaming. "Leave," one of them hissed. "Go back to your kind. You do not belong here. If you stay, blood will be spilled." Ravi stood still. His hands trembled, but his voice was calm. "If you strike me, then you prove that fear rules you. But if you let me live, then maybe one day you will see that fear was never needed." The assassins hesitated. For a moment, it seemed they might attack. But then guards arrived, and the shadows slipped away into the night. When Illyra heard of it, her anger shook the palace. Yet Ravi only said, "Do not punish them. Fear makes people do desperate things. Only time and kindness can heal it." The final choice weeks passed. The people began to change. What started as suspicion grew into cautious acceptance, and in some places, even respect. At last, the ruler called Ravi and Illyra before her once more. The hall was filled with nobles, soldiers, and citizens alike. The ruler rose, her voice carrying through the chamber. "My people, you have seen the human with your own eyes. You have watched his deeds. Now I ask you, should we cast him out, or should we allow him to stand as a bridge between us?" The hall filled with voices. Some cried no, others cried yes. The sound was a storm of fear and hope. Then, slowly, more voices rose in support. Farmers he had helped spoke. Children he had played with cheered. Even some nobles, who had doubted before, admitted his patience had touched them. The ruler raised her hand, and silence fell. She looked at Ravi, then at Illyra. "The people have spoken. The bridge shall remain. Human, you are not only welcome, you are needed." A bond that changed everything. The day ended with celebration. Lights filled the city, and for the first time in many years, humans and aliens shared a feast together. Ravi sat beside Illyra, overwhelmed by the sight. Laughter echoed, not fear. Smiles spread, not suspicion. Illyra leaned close, her voice warm. "Do you see now, Ravi? What we began years ago was not just a memory. It was the start of something greater." Ravi nodded, his chest heavy with emotion. "I never thought my life would matter this much. I only wanted to fix what was broken." "And you did," Illyra said softly. "Not machines. Hearts." From that day, Ravi was no longer just a mechanic. He was remembered as the man who carried the trial of trust, the man who walked beside a princess, the man who proved that even the smallest voice could echo across the stars. And though the future still held challenges, one truth remained clear. The bond between a human and an alien princess had changed everything. Not only for them, but for two worlds that once stood apart.